After a few quite testing months in 2025, we finally come to a period of blessing, of ease and harmony. May 2025, I have good news for you. We went through Mars, Venus, Mercury retrograde, 2 eclipses, Saturn, Venus conjunctions, very intense influences in the last 3-4 months. But now we're gonna take a breath of fresh air and relief. As you can see, most of the transits and aspects between planets in May are harmonious, trines, sextiles. There are here and there a square, but it's very minimal compared to what we've been going through. We're like a soldier coming out of a battle. And we'll be, in the month of May, we'll be recuperating, improving. Things will start looking up. We're out of the hardest period of 2025. So with this good news, we're gonna have a full moon in Scorpio with opposition with Uranus around the 12th of May, which might be a bit more excitable, unpredictable, intense, like the energy of Scorpio, but pretty much everything around it is fantastic. But the biggest event in May is that towards the end, on the 25th of May, Saturn is moving to Aries for the first time since 29 years, the 1995, 6, something like that it was then. In Aries again, and it will stay there for 3 months this year, and then 26 and 27, the whole 2 years it will be in Aries. So this video will focus on how Saturn, the bad big wolf of astrology, how you can tame it, how you can turn it into a loyal dog that will guard your back and to thrive through this period. So stay with me to see how Saturn will affect you. Actually, if you want to really dive into Saturn in Aries, I've created a 3-hour video plus around 40 pages PDF that covers absolutely every possible influence of Saturn in Aries. Say if you have Venus in Gemini, Saturn will try sextile it, or if you have Libra, Jupiter, Saturn will oppose it, or if you have Cancer, Moon, Saturn will square it. What are the influences on a personal level, with many real life stories and remedies and how to overcome it and how to do the best out of it. Just $12. Check it out. I always try to be as affordable as possible. But now let's begin. I'm excited. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, May 2025. Aquarius this month is so much lighter. There is a lot of fire, there is air, there is some stabilizing earth energy from the sun, and a lot less watery energy, which for air signs like us, it can drag us down a lot. We can feel very bogged down, like it was for the last 2-3 months. A lot of stagnant air with Saturn there, with retrograde Mars. The first 4 months of the year were not so easy, or at least things were not happening as easy, or not moving. But now we have the green light. We're moving forward. Jupiter is the last month of its stay in another air sign, trining you from the 5th house. You can experience joy of life. You can feel uplifted. The heavy energy of the water and Saturn is going away, because Saturn was with many planets here in water sign. And you just, fun month. June as well is a fun month, lighter energy. Fire, lots of fire. Mars is in your 7th house the whole month of May. So others trigger you to action. Maybe you can be more active with your partner. Maybe you can be more proactive to find a partnership, or to create business deals, or to get more clients, more followers. 7th house is the audience, the public, your clients. You can reach out, because Mars is this action energy. Reach out to more people. Yes, of course, at moments, Mars in your 7th house, you can be triggered by others. Also looking at your ascendant, for example, Sun or Moon, during a few days of Saturn and Mars opposing, you can be more susceptible to inflammatory conditions. Mars is right now exactly opposite my ascendant in Aquarius, so the 1st degrees, and I got a cold. You can hear me. Inflammatory, or accidents, or fighting with others. But Mars is doing good aspects from there, and it's not moving retrograde. And it's more like Others will act like a trigger to motivate you. Your partner might become more proactive. Your partner might get moving, or you can do something in a partnership with another. Another can be like an engine for you to make changes, to do things, so others might be activating you to do stuff like, calling you, let's do this, let's do that, and so on. And Venus is in your third house, another social house. The whole month, now it's direct, it's moving forward, so much nicer. If you had any complications with neighbors, with relatives, with siblings, if they've been going through hard period, everything starts moving good, positive for them. Your communications improve. When you communicate with others, you have like the silver tongue quality to you. You can connect, and again, social house, building bridges, connecting to others, being more outgoing, more social. So the fire energy and the passionate energy, Venus and Mars, are in your houses of communicating, of relationships. You can feel also more turned on with Saturn, with Mars in your seventh house. There can be more sexual energy there, not just arguments. With Venus in the third house, you'd have the right approach, how to talk to others. So even if there's some, from time to time, Mars in the seventh house, if you're triggered by others, you'd know how to speak and how to talk it out. But yeah, go out, be social, be proactive, connect to others, build audience or clients, business, these are also business houses, more passion there. Collaborate with others. If you're doing anything with media, with marketing, Venus in the third house, great, it will go lovely. If you're doing anything with traveling or buying a car, might be a good time to buy a car with Venus in the third house, no longer retrograde, or buy phones, or buy communication devices, or just hang out with friends and talk, and more social month, or just short trips with family, extended family, or friends, and so on. And you have a full moon in your 10th house on the 12th of May, so the week after that, you're the 18th. You're some kind of in the spotlight in your career regarding, you might be more active, more proactive there. You might be reaping the rewards from previous things in regards to your career that you did. You might get some important development in your career. For some of you, might be even promotion, completing a project, important conversations with an authority figure, clarity, what direction to take in regards to your career. Or this is also your public recognition, social standing. You might notice that you might be more noticeable. The decisions that you take, some executive decisions, might be visible for others and important in some way. So I think full moons are, in Vedic astrology, full moons are auspicious influence. They give their gifts. The moon is full, there is most light. So there is illumination of some issue related to father figures, related to your work, related to career, or to your worldly responsibilities and duties, where you're proactive and get things done, complete them. Or clarity about some work project that you're completing, that you've put efforts before towards it. You're wrapping it up, it's happening usually quite fast as well. And the most important event this month, though, is that Saturn is moving into your third house. And on the 25th of May, it's going to stay there till September the 1st, then moves back into your second house, financial house. So for 2-3 years, we had Saturn in our second house. If you've been having some financially more of a down period, this leaves now and it goes, but it will come back again from September. But this video will serve you. Bookmark it, come to the thumbnail, to the timestamp when I start speaking about Saturn in your third house, because this video will be of use for you for the next 3 years. And seriously, this information, you might need to hear it in 2026, 2027. I'm not going to repeat it again. And when I speak, it always comes like inspiration. So you need this for the next 2-3 years possibly. And what is the good thing about Saturn in the third house? Well, Saturn was in your sign about 5 years ago, or even up to 3 years ago was in your sign. And the moment, that's a bit more tough period, maybe health-wise, maybe career-wise, maybe like a new beginning starts there as well. And now, for the first time, it's going to make an aspect to your sign, sextile. So Saturn will be very helpful for the next 3 years to Aquarius from the third house, from Aries. So you're growing, some seeds were planted in your life over the last 5 years. Since Saturn first entered from 2020, Saturn entered Aquarius. Now those seeds are finally, you planted something then. It might have been a new belief system. It might have been a new plan for yourself. It might have been a business. It might have been a job. It might have been a new health vision for yourself. There were some new seeds that were planted, a new vision for your life, for the direction of your life, whatever, from 2020. Now, for the first time, those seeds will poke with tiny, very gentle leaves through the earth. Now you're gonna see, till now it was all still underground, you couldn't see it. And Saturn moving into the third sign from yours, where it was before, from where it started its new beginning, Saturn, was when we finally see the efforts that we've been doing, that we've been making, starting to pay off. Those first 5 years, Saturn in the first and in the second, is like you're building the foundation still, and you can't see the results. And you're like, oh, I've been building foundations for 5 years. But then when it gets to the third house, that's when finally you can build on top. Oh, you see the little, plant coming out finally. And you're like, there is this joyfulness. They say in ancient astrology that when Saturn transits the third house, it gives you what you want. Many times Saturn gives us not what we want, but what we need. But here somehow what we need and what we want aligns, and we start seeing something that we've wanted before. We start seeing the results of it. So you're not gonna feel, so you're coming out of Sade Sate. There is this expression in Vedic astrology. So that when Saturn transits your moon sign, the sign before, the sign of the moon sign, and the sign after, but you can apply it also to ascendant and sun sign. Those 7 years, they're a little bit in a hole. A little bit your efforts. Doesn't mean you didn't do anything productive for those 7 years, but you were a little bit, let's say, like you're put in a box. You can't unfold your full potential. It's because it's a ending and germinating of a new cycle of 30 years. The 7-year period is the ending, the planting of the new seed, the germinating, and it only shows here. So it's a little bit you were in a box. You couldn't fully unfold, maybe because of certain responsibilities, duties, whatever. But now your power starts coming. And you'd feel when Saturn is in the third house that it might be still a hard period. I remember Saturn in Aries as an Aquarius 30 years ago, 28 years ago. It was a tough period, but also very productive, because I have a lot of planets in Aries, let's say. And if you want to know if Saturn is making any aspects to other planets, maybe you have planets in Libra or in Cancer or in Capricorn, Saturn, then it's more challenging when Saturn is transiting. And I go through every single possible transit to personal planets. Saturn can have Saturn square Venus, Saturn trine Venus, Saturn opposition Jupiter, Saturn conjunct Jupiter, and so on. And I show you how to see what transit you're going to have and how exactly it's going to impact you and when exactly it's going to impact you. And you can keep this course, which is just $12 for reference for your whole life for all Saturn transits, to know how to navigate them and what they mean. So don't go crazy when Saturn transits happen. But Saturn is always something predictable. It's not unpredictable. So Saturn in the third house, you start seeing the more and more of the results of your efforts. But of course, in the third house, how can it play out more specifically? For example, when I had Saturn in the third house from my moon, I started my astrology business and it started growing. Third house is self-made wealth, because it's the house of skills, and it's the second from the second. So if you have certain skills and abilities that you've been developing till now, when Saturn enters the third house, you can monetize that. Or you can start gaining skills that can be used over the next 20, 30 years after that to create wealth. So third house is learning as well. Fantastic time to start learning something. I was learning extensively astrology when Saturn was in my third house, and now I learned so many skills. In the third house from my moon, I learned to do videos, to record videos, to make advertisements, to do marketing, to do thumbnails, to use PowerPoints. Now AI does all of this, but I had to learn it when Saturn was in my third house. And I was like, oh, why? But so glad I did. So fantastic. Learn something difficult now, especially skills that you can use over many, many years. They'll be useful and they can be monetized. This is the energy of the third house. And you might be lacking courage, but go for it. My mantra when Saturn was transiting my third house from the moon was, feel the fear, but do it anyway. So you will feel the fear, but you should do it because Aries is this energy, do it anyway. Third house is, so you'd have the consistency to develop skills, to learn new things, to maybe go take a course, take a, I don't know, AI course, whatever. And third house is also the house of media marketing. I was so shy, I couldn't ask what the price of bread was. I was so socially awkward. And when Saturn transited my third house, I learned to find my voice. And I forced myself to do very difficult things like going in the middle of a park and recording videos, and there would be a crowd of people. That was 2012 or something when it was happening. 2010, sorry. And there were no vloggers and bloggers back then. I was one of the first ones, and there would be like a crowd of 40 people sitting and watching, making faces, joking. And I learned to find my voice, to having in mind how painfully socially awkward I used to be, because I have Saturn in the third house from my moon, so I have a lot of social anxiety. And Saturn transiting this third house from Sun, Moon, or Ascendant helps you overcome social anxiety, putting yourself in situations to find your voice. My husband has by birth Saturn in the third house, and he's always like second guesses what he says. Always like when he says something, I hear him repeating it under his breath. And he says, like, I constantly think if my words have hurt someone, if they sounded stupid, how did it sound? So sometimes you can feel this when Saturn is in the third house. I remember when it was in Aries again, 30 years ago, I was in high school and I felt very stupid. I've always felt smart, and suddenly I felt very stupid, like everything I said. And a few people made comments that, no, this joke is not funny. And for a year or two, I was frozen. I was like, oh my God, I'm stupid. I was like, and I had to overcome this blockage and learn to communicate with people. Other people say they really find that, like, if they're not heard in the, say, in the team at work, when Saturn is in the third house, they might feel like I'm not being heard, I'm not being understood. And they learn to structure their communications more clearly, more, Saturn is order, to order their thoughts better, and to concentrate their thought, and to find their voice to be heard. So yes, it's about finding your voice, learning to communicate more clearly, more in a structured way. That will help me. Definitely. Sometimes I'm all over the place. So it will, as Aquarians, we will find a very much more concentrated thought pattern. So third house is also not only our communications that can become more professional, more curt, short, but to the point. No wasting about. Maybe my videos, because third house is media, will become shorter. Maybe Saturn is shorter, smaller. Maybe I won't make long videos. I'll do shorter videos, more impactful, to the point. That's another way it can manifest. Also, you might be writing a book when Saturn is in the third house. Third house is writing, speaking. You might be creating a blog. What are they called now? You might be creating a website, and Saturn requires the efforts, the consistency. Third house is a business. You might be creating a business, the structure of it, the planning of it, the you know, the online presence of it. Perfect. Saturn in third house is great for such work. Or Saturn is the auditor. So you have to audit your social interactions and what you let into your brain. So someone like me, 8 hours I spend on my phone some days, most days. And now Saturn in the 8th house, for those of you who have this addiction, it will give you the power of no, to say no, not to be on social media, to audit what do you let into your mind. Like I'm scrolling through X or Telegram or watching TV and news for ridiculous hours. I'm addicted. And I really hope now, and I know it will happen, Saturn through the 3rd house makes you cut off all the time wasting things that take your mind, all the information that just waste your time, even your wasteful contacts and hanging out with friends. Like I used to go before to hang out with friends before Saturn transited my 3rd house from Moon. We would 7-8 hours we would sit in restaurants, in coffees, and Saturn my 3rd house comes and I'm like, I have more important thing than gossip and waste my time here talking, you know, like useless things. My communications, I want them to be useful. So I just started communicating with people that can help me learn astrology, that can teach me about business and so on. So you become very selective, which is very Saturnian, very discriminate with who you communicate. You don't just want to gossip, waste your time. So some people might fall off from your life, or you just might withdraw yourself from them. And you just might socialize with more serious people of some sort. But the communications that you do will be productive, they will be useful, and they will be for good stuff rather than, you know. But also if you use words to hurt others, or if you use words that you hurt yourself, your internal dialogue. So, oh, I'm stupid, or like I've had this so much when I was young. I'm stupid, I'm not funny, I can't make it. You know, what is your internal dialogue? Saturn here can sometimes initially enhance the negative internal dialogue. So depression sometimes is possible with Saturn through the 3rd house, because you have like more negative thinking. You always see like the negative, and not always, but you start noticing and beating on yourself. But there is the good side of it, that once you realize this, Saturn makes you, okay, audit. You do this now, you change a negative thought with a positive. Okay, I'm lazy, but every day, you know, your internal dialogue, you start changing it, restructuring it, auditing it. So it's fantastic for people that even do spiritual work, because it's easier to control. The mind is this monkey that jumps, you know, it's the 3rd house. Oh, this flower, oh, that flower, oh, this channel, oh, this post, oh, and I have a lot of that. And Saturn is like discipline to your mind, discipline to where you put your attention, what information you let in, audit it, don't let all kinds of stuff in, don't waste your time around, and allow only things that are useful, that are constructive. And for spiritual work, for meditation, might be very good, because it tames that monkey, puts it in a straitjacket, so your mind is not jumping all over the place. And sometimes even if you feel a bit depressed in your mind, that's good, so you can learn to regulate your thoughts, that you don't allow to control. Saturn is control. You learn to control the thoughts, your thoughts, and you know how you create reality through your thoughts. So this is very powerful. That's why the ancient texts say Saturn in the 3rd house, very strong ability to manifest your desires, to create your reality, you know, to make things happen, because you start learning to control your thoughts and to manifest, to direct them to where you want. But it will have to be an effort. So studying, learning something. Also, there might be problems with relationship with siblings or relatives. So in the life of a sibling or relative, you might remove certain people from your life, 3rd house, you know, friends or whatever, or just interact with more older or more responsible people, with more serious people, or for more serious topics. You can do a lot of mental work during this time. You can really be like a lot of work, like writing, speaking, communication, because Saturn is a productive influence. But yeah, just be careful with your devices the next 3 years, not to break them, Saturn, not to damage them. With cars, sometimes there are more problems with cars, with internet, anything about connectivity and travel and transportation when Saturn is in the third house. Maybe it's for a reason to slow you down. This also slows down your mind, so you learn to have more control of the mind, as we said. That's why phones break and so on. It's best if you do to yourself like a digital detox. That's perfect for Saturn in the third house. You give yourself 1 hour per day on social media or whatever, so you don't have to go through those other, because Saturn wants you to stop the distractions when it's in the third house and to focus your mind, your energy on more important things. And sometimes your siblings or relatives might be going through tougher times. You might have to help them, or you might be doing some important project with them that you have to work together, or you might put commitment into your neighborhood of some sort, or project with associates. Third house is associates, that you work on some projects and so on. But if you want to know more specific, check out my video of Saturn in Aries, 3 hours. Putting it in the link below. It's only $12 with very specific predictions. Thank you.